Okay, today we are going to learn about how to find the zeros of a function. So at the top, go ahead and write your topic, zeros of a function. Don't forget your name, the date, and the class as well. So first and foremost, we are going to graphically show the points at which the graph crosses the x-axis. So if we're looking at a graph, we say graphically, the point or points at which the line crosses the x-axis. Crosses can also be said as intersects. Algebraically, if you're just solving the equation, you're going to find the point at which f of x equals 0. So algebraically, that's when you are solving an equation. The point or points, could be more than one, at which f of x equals 0. So remember that this f of x actually means y. Now, they could also be known as roots. Instead of calling them zeros, you might hear somebody say find the roots. You might hear somebody say find the x-intercepts. And lastly, you might hear somebody say find the solutions. All of this means you're finding where the line crosses the x-axis. Go ahead down on your paper. Let's take a look at the graphs. So what you want to do first is pay attention to your x or horizontal axis. We can go ahead and mark any spot that the line is going through the x-axis. So here, the line crosses the x at 2. So when y is 0, x is 2. We just solved this function for the zeros. Let's go ahead and solve number 2. Go to your horizontal axis, mark your points where the line is crossing the x-axis. In this case, I have 2 points. The first point is at -2. The next point is at +1. So we could say x equals -2, 1. I use squiggly brackets to show that it's the set of, as opposed to an ordered pair where we would use usual or normal parentheses. Let's go down and solve one more. Number 6. 6, the line crosses the x-axis on 3 different occasions. So in this case, we're going to have x is equal to the set of -5, 0, and 3, separated by commas. Go ahead and try 3, 4, and 5 by yourself now, and pause your video. Okay, if you just finished 3, 4, and 5, we're going to go ahead and learn how to solve an equation by hand or algebraically. The first step that you're going to do is set the function equal to 0. So let's write that down so we don't forget. Set the function equal to 0. After you set the function equal to 0, you're going to solve for x. That will be your step 2. Please make sure you write that down. So for the first one, f of x is like our y. So we're going to make our y into a 0 and then solve for x. For x minus 8 is left. Your job is to get x by itself by using the inverse or opposite operations. So let's start by getting rid of the -8. We're going to add it to both sides. And we're going to get 8 is equal to 4x. How do we get rid of a 4 multiplied by an x? We're going to divide by 4 on both sides. Divide by 4, divide by 4. In the end, we have 2 equals x. So the 0 that solves this equation is when x equals 2. Let's go ahead and do a more challenging one with a fraction. Come with me to number 6. Okay, f of x equals -2/5 x plus 4. F of x is the same as y, so we're going to set that to 0. Then we're going to keep our fraction and the rest of the equation. We're going to start by getting rid of the 4. Do the inverse operation and subtract from both sides. So you have -4 equals -2/5 x. Now we have this fraction. In order to get rid of the denominator, you have to multiply by 5 on both sides. So go ahead and multiply by 5 on both sides. I'm going to go up here and finish that off. So -4 times 5 gives me a -20. And that is equal to -2x. So when you see -20 equals -2x, we want to get rid of -2. So in order to do that, we have to divide, because right now we're multiplying it by x. So let's go ahead and divide by -2 on both sides. The negatives cancel out, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. So we have 10 equals x. And you just solve for the zeros of this equation. So when y is 0, x is 10. Go ahead and try 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause your video now and solve those problems. Last but not least, we're going to try to solve by using the graphing calculator to help us. Notice the steps. Hit y equals to enter the function, and then hit graph to view the graph. So all you need to do in your graph is go to the y equals button and enter this into your calculator. Every time it's the equation that follows the equal sign. So let's go ahead and do x squared minus 16 together. Get your calculators ready. So go to the y equals button. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put x squared minus 16 into our calculator. The first step that it tells you on your notes page is to go to y equals. Then we're going to find the x button, which is right here. X, we're going to use the squared button, which says x squared. And we're going to minus 16. Go ahead and push graph in the top right corner and let the calculator do its thing. Your job is to find out where the line crosses the x-axis. So if I look down here, I'm at -4. I just counted by my scale, and +4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So -4 and +4. So when I go back to my notes page, x equals -4, +4. Okay? Let's try a really big one like number 10. Go ahead and go back to your calculator. Go to y equals, clear it out. Make sure it's totally cleared out. We're going to put in x to the power 4. So go to x. This upper arrow helps you go to the power or up in the air. So hit the upper arrow and then 4. Then I like to use the right arrow to go to the next spot. So x to the power of 4 plus 2x to the power of 3. 2x, up arrow, 3, and then right arrow. 2x to the power of 3 minus 25x squared. Minus 25x squared has its own button, which is nice. And then we still have a minus 50x. Minus 50x. Now I double check it with my paper. X to the power of 4 plus 2x to the power of 3 minus 25x squared minus 50x. if your equation matches your paper, go ahead and push the graph button in the top right. Let the calculator graph the line for you. Then, looking at your horizontal line, tracing from left to right, wall to wall, go ahead and find all the zeros, okay, where x is going to be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5, negative 2, 0, and 5. So go back to your paper. Make sure you record your answer. X equals negative 5, negative 2, 0, and a positive 5. So if you need to familiarize yourself with the buttons and how to get the power to the power of 4 to the power of 3, go ahead and rewind your video. Then I want you to put equations 2 through 9 in your calculator and find out where your line crosses the x-axis. Please come to class with all the different examples completed, okay? And make sure that you make an effort on each of these. If you have questions, also write them down and bring them to your next math block. Thanks so much.